Hi, this is AFCEA Hampton Roads. Welcome. We have a special event today for you here at our luncheon. Thanks for attending. With me is Teresa Duvall and Doug Vanderlip, both past presidents of our chapter. I'm Palmer, the current president of AFCEA Hampton Roads. Now, we are Skyping with a wonderful lady who's given us her time today, Miss Kathy Kleiman. We're going to introduce her and learn more about our main event today for our luncheon. But first, I'd like to introduce Ms. Teresa Duvall. Teresa?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Palmer. So, hello, everyone out there in the land of AFCEA Hampton Roads. Teresa Duvall. I am very fortunate, and I want to thank Palmer Sims, our AFCEA Hampton Roads president, for his leadership in the AFCEA Hampton Roads, as well as the recognition by the board of directors to nominate me for a very special award. I also wanted to thank FC International. There's a team led by Ashley Becker and Andy Feel. So I want to also give them a shout out for taking time to initiate awards such as this for women. This Women's Appreciation Award, which is what I received, is important because it really talks to the importance of science, technology, engineering, and math, and our mentorship and what we really need to do as leaders for the future. Having a mentoring program and just stepping out from your role, whether it be men or women, you need to cultivate those in the future who will come behind us. And women in the science, technology, and engineering field are scarce. And our ability to step forward and to be that voice and that assistance for those behind us who've helped us to achieve ours, again, can't be understated. I had a couple notes here. I want to say specifically that I was presented this award just a few months ago at AFCEA International at San Diego West in California. I had asked one of the most distinguished women that I know to walk up with me on the stage and help me with the award, receiving the award, Admiral Jan Tai. She was at the time commander of Fleet Cyber Command, where I work as the director in the Office of Navy Authorizing Official, and where I currently work looking at all certification and accreditations for all Navy systems and all Navy circuits. After receiving the award, I thought that just about capped the night. I mean, what an incredible award. But little did I realize the next portion of the evening was really the highlight. That's when the 6 award winners and those in attendance got to meet and hear from Ms. Kathy Kleiman. After speaking with Kathy for a few minutes, I can tell you she has the charisma that very few have, and she has taken this program in such an incredible direction with her ability to document the past for us. She's notable. She researches the history that's been overlooked when you discover women who are in the information technology field. Although my career started as a COBOL programmer, for those of you who don't know, that stands for Common Oriented Business Operating Language, at the Navy Regional Data Automation Center, I was unaware that there were so few documented achievements for women in technology. When Ms. Kleiman reached back to document the achievements that she will be talking to you about today, she unlocks the door to the wonderment associated with firsts in our world. We owe a debt of gratitude to Ms. Kleiman. So let me tell you a little bit about Ms. Kleiman. So for 20 years, Ms. Kleiman and the ENIAC Programmers Project have researched the ENIAC project work and documented this oral history that she's going to be talking to you about. She was a computer science major back at Harvard in the 80s. I look forward to her talking to you about this Herculean task that she undertook. Her day job is as the Internet Law and Policy Attorney for Fletcher, Hild, and Hildreth in Arlington, Virginia. Without further ado, please let me introduce you to Ms. Kathy Kleiman.
Thank you, Teresa, and thank you for the honor of sharing with you the story of the ENIAC programmers on this very special Women in AFCEA Recognition Day. It's such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure to meet you in California and to be with you when you were recognized and to share in the recognition of women in computing. When I was an undergraduate, I took many, many computer science courses, and I didn't have any sense of women being in computing except for then Captain Grace Hopper. who was in the Navy, as you talked about, phenomenal role model. I also knew about Ada Lovelace. Ada Lovelace was in the 19th century. Grace Hopper was in the 20th century. And the impression that I was left with in the late 80s was only one woman a century was succeeding in computing. And that did not make me feel warm and fuzzy about this field. And so I went looking for role models. Otherwise, I probably would have left the field of computing. It was pretty lonely. Even though everyone I worked with was phenomenal, it was pretty lonely being the only woman in the room. And what I found were pictures. Black and white pictures from 1946, just after the end of the war. And these are famous pictures. We've all seen them. They're pictures of the ENIAC. The ENIAC was a phenomenal machine. It was secret until just after the war. It was a secret U.S. Army World War II project built at the University of Pennsylvania's Moore School of Electrical Engineering. And it was the first all-electronic, programmable general-purpose computer. And it was 8 feet tall, 80 feet long, occupied 3 sides of a huge room. And the purpose of the pictures seemed to be that it was dwarfing the people in the pictures, that it was so big that it was just dwarfing them. And that was the public's first impression of computers, was just how big, enormous, overwhelming they were. What struck me about the pictures, however, was that there were women in them. There were men and there were women, and some of them were just women. But when there were men and women in the pictures, the men were in the captions and the women weren't. And when the women were just in the pictures, there was nobody in the captions, except maybe, a listing that this was ENIAC in 1946 in Philadelphia. And so I wanted to know who the women were. So I went to my professor, and he didn't know, but he knew the co-founder of the Computer History Museum, which now is enormous and wonderful in Silicon Valley, and I urge everyone to go. But at the time, it was small and new, and it was in Boston, and I was in Boston. So I took the T across Boston. My professor set up the meeting, and I brought copies of the pictures, and I showed them to the co-founder of the Computer History Museum. And she dismissed the question that I was asking, who the women were. She told me they were models. And 40 years after their work, no one knew who these women were and what they had done. But I kept looking at the pictures, and I had worked with mainframe computers and mini computers, and it just didn't look like these women were models. It looked like they knew exactly what they were standing in front of. They had a confidence, they had an assurance that indicated to me that they knew exactly what was going on with this machine. And so I set out to find them. And so what you'll find in this 20-minute documentary called The Computers is the story of the ENIAC programmers, the story of these amazing women that I found, and the fact that all 6 of the original programmers of ENIAC were young women, mostly math majors, brought to Philadelphia to work for the Army during World War II. And their skills were essential. And although the documentary doesn't talk about it, these women will go on to create the field of software with Grace Hopper, who will come down from Boston and join them in Philadelphia. And the first software application, the first sorting routine, it comes from the ENIAC programmers, and we should know about them. So I'm thrilled to be sharing the story with you, and I wish I could be there in person, but I'm thrilled to be coming in by Skype and talking to Teresa today. Thank you.